just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Well, hello out there all across this great land and around the world. It's that time for the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And boy, it's getting hot out there. It's getting hot. And I'm not talking about, quote-unquote, climate change. I'm talking about all across this great land. And even around the world, it's getting pretty hot. Immigration is the hot issue, and it's being played out several ways, whether it be the health care, but most notably right now, gun control. That's what it's all about right now, and this is going to be the hot-button issue coming up in the next 5 months here in our general election process here. And we're going to talk a lot about that. We've been talking about it all week. We're going to talk more about it. I want to bring on Joe Hakos. How you doing today, Joe? That bad, huh? Oh, my goodness. What was that? Is that the Hillary Clinton laugh with laryngitis or what? Anyway, guys. Glad to have you with us today. And we have a special guest coming on today. Somebody that Don Dix, one of our contributors, recommended to me. And his name is Michael Hoskinson. He's a member of the Santa Monica Tea Party out here in California, but he is also the housing commissioner out here in Huntington Beach, California. And interesting individual, and we're going to have him on the show today to talk about a couple things. One, how do citizens organize? We'll cover that when we get to it. And, of course, if you didn't know, the Obama administration is trying another little trick out there along with the gun control and health care mandates and everything else. It's called affirmative action for housing. They're trying to use Section 8 housing to move poverty-ridden people into affluent neighborhoods so that we can all be equal. We can all have the same, quote-unquote, opportunity to entitlement to live in the rich cities of the world. And
didn't Eddie Murphy make a movie like that, Trading Places?
Yeah, and that movie turned out okay. I don't think that's what would really happen, but I get your drift. Your drift. And so we're going to talk about that with Michael. But before we do that, I want to get into this thing that's coming up. We're going to talk more about this next week because it's coming up for a vote, and that is the European Union referendum in which Britain is going to determine whether or not they are going to stay in the European Union. And as I pointed out to you a couple weeks ago, this was a hot topic when I was on vacation because a lot of the people that were on the boat I was on were from Australia, which has a kind of a secret loyalty, let's say unsung loyalty to England. But a lot of people from England, and particularly people in Ireland and Scotland and Britain, which makes up the UK. And I informed you that what was going on here was Britain was going to decide whether it wanted to stay in the European Union, and Ireland and Scotland were going to decide whether they wanted to stay in the United Kingdom, which is made up of Ireland, Scotland, and Britain. So a couple of things going down there. And the main issue was immigration. This is what brought the main issue that brought the referendum about, was the lack of control on the borders, the influx of immigrants coming from the Middle East that nobody knew who they were. Nobody knows who they are. The Obama administration likes to paint them as refugees, but everybody else looks at them as illegal immigrants coming in and unvetted, unable to determine who's who, And we have these terrorist centers that are being set up all over Europe right now. More, notably places like Brussels. Is Brussels in France?
No, that's
in Belgium, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Paris is in France.
Okay. And, Paris is in France, but I was going to say France next, but I just didn't want to be redundant. Okay.
What's redundant is the fact that you just said all this, and what did the director of the CIA to say today is that these are the same people that ISIS is using to infiltrate countries.
Right. Yeah, it's so that is the driving issue here behind the referendum, and you would think that people in England would be kind of leery about doing this, because right now the pound is doing very well. Their monetary system over there, they don't use the euro.
Nope.
Like the other European countries do, but you would think that they would have a fear of that, but. According to the predictions, was what I'm hearing here, the markets are saying that if the Brits stay in the EU, the markets could rally, which means if they don't, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how that's going to affect the economy, but that's not the issue.
I think it's just fear mongering anyway.
Yeah, that's just that's just throwing it out there because Prime Minister Cameron over there doesn't want to pull out of the EU, and he wants that major influx of illegals coming into the country. What it's about is the rising immigration levels. And I'm looking here at an article that Joe sent me here, everything you need to know about Brexit. That's what you're calling it, Brexit. European governments can be arcane, but the main reason for the Brexit vote will be familiar to many Americans concerned about immigration. The European Union rules allow any citizen of the EU country to live in any other EU country and enjoy most privileges of citizenship, including social services. Wow. In recent years, there's been a sharp jump in the number of people coming to the UK from other EU nations, including newer entrants such as from Romania and Bulgaria. And the natives are feeling that immigrants are collecting an unfairly large share of welfare payments and child benefit payments, which has become a touchy political issue, much as it is here in the United States. What are we talking about? Taking taxpayer money and giving it to people who are not citizens and should not be citizens. Now, I think they're trying to paint them as citizens, but the point is you've got an influx of people coming from one place to another, and it's draining their economic system. Yep. It's draining their infrastructure, and that's what's going on here. So they're upset about that. Not to mention the terrorist aspect of it. We've got people coming into these countries that nobody really knows how to vet them because there's no records on them.
Well, let's not to mention the fact that they're not trying to assimilate into the culture they're coming into. They want to bring their culture to the new place, and there's waves and waves and waves of crime going on associated with it. Rapes and killings and kind of thuggery going on.
Yeah. To give you a better analogy of it, Joe and I were just talking before the show. Out here in California, where I live, we have all different sections of our communities around here, surrounding communities, that have become known by their cultural names. Little Saigon, Koreatown, Chinatown, Little India, because these people assimilate into a certain part of the county, and they basically turn the thing into a replica of where it is they came from, and so there is no assimilation.
But what's more dangerous about it, they've gotten to the point where there's places in Europe that even the police won't go to. It's happened in Brussels, it happened in Paris, It's happened in London, where these people are taken over, and the police will not go into that place because they are basically afraid to go in there.
Yeah, and it's not for fear of not being able to protect themselves. It's for fear of being sued if they do something. So that's what's going on. So we're going to be talking about that next week in great detail because the vote is coming up next week, midweek sometime next week. So we'll be able to give it a couple days coverage here before it actually takes place, and we'll see what the fallout of that is. So
the vote's on the 23rd of June, 23 June. What is that, Thursday?
Okay, 23 June. That is, according to my trusty calendar here, that's next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Okay. So that'll be a good topic, because then Friday we can talk with Bob Cardoso about the economic fallout to some degree. But we're really hammering home this immigration thing.
Well, it won't. There won't be, even if the Brits do want to go and they vote next Thursday. They've got a couple years before they're required to do it. They got to come up with a plan to exit and everything else. It's in the bylaws of the European Union. So I mean, it's just not they take their ball and they go home. No, that's not going to happen. It's going to take a little bit of time.
Well, one thing that's going on right now, according to the what I'm reading here, is that Scotland is probably the nation that will, if anybody does, will decide to pull out of the UK because they are becoming a lot more conservative in their views in terms of border security and things like that. So that even just having one country pull out of the UK, even if the UK stays in the European Union, that's going to be strange to see how that plays out. So we're going to keep our eyes on that. And of course, if Britain does pull out, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to Prime Minister Cameron? You know,
he's probably going to lose his job.
Yeah, he's going to lose his job, because in these countries, they don't wait for the election. They go after the people.
They have to have a vote of confidence. And obviously, since he's been against the leaving part, if they leave and he's on the other side of that, they're probably going to force him out of his job.
Yeah. Well, he could always come over here and work for Obama. Okay.
Gee, really? Let's not do that. He can go to Venezuela.
Okay, guys. We got to go to break. When we come back, we should have Mike Hoskinson from, he's the Orange County Housing Planning Commissioner out here in Orange County. And we're going to talk with him about a couple things going on down in Huntington Beach, California, Surf City, to those of you who may not know what I'm talking about. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
All right, hey, we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. And we have with us right now Orange County Housing Planning Board Commissioner Michael Hoskinson. How you doing, Mike?
How you doing, John? Good to hear from you.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. In fact, we could hear your coughing and everything else.
Good.
All right, hey, we asked you on the show for a couple of reasons. Don Dix mentioned you to us in a conversation one night. He comes on our show once a week, normally about once a week, and contributes. And he mentioned you to us. And I went and looked at an article that he referred me to. There's two things I'd like to talk with you about in the time that we have today. The plan or the strategy that Michael Daly, I believe his name was able to employ down in Huntington Beach in being able to, as we put it, organize from the ground up, be able to come after some of these people on city council that are, less than honest about their intent for being in office. I have some personal experience with Huntington Beach and the housing and licensing and permits like that. When we tried to build a church down there about 15 years ago, and it was just... it was ludicrous how that went down, but another topic for another day. But then I wanted to also talk to you about the move by the government to implement what we believe to be Section 8 housing in Huntington Beach, because Huntington Beach is a rather affluent area, and along the lines of what we talk about in this show sometimes, Agenda 21, which is social engineering. I wanted to get your views on that. What's going on? What's going down? What are you doing to stand against it? But let's start out with your article first, because I have to tell you, Michael, when I first read it, my first take on it, I thought you were on the other side. And the reason I thought that was because when you were laying out your organizing strategy, that sounded like something straight out of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals.
I am a reader of Saul Alinsky, yes.
Yeah, so then I go, wait a minute, Don wouldn't refer me to this guy if we were just going to argue. So, I don't mind arguing, but it was just strange. So I had to reread the article, and okay, I see what's going on. This guy was able to do what we've been talking about doing, and that is starting at a local level and working our way up. And taking things, because that's what the left has done. That's how they've been so successful. I wanted to start out first talking, because you seem to be taking some major hits from the leftists out there in Huntington Beach. What's the latest that's going on with the Housing Commission out there? Anything worth noting?
Well, sure, and it's not just Huntington Beach, John. It's countrywide, but we're really seeing the effect of it in California, especially with what Governor Brown's done in the last month. So essentially, what we did locally here, if we want to talk about just the housing, we elected a new councilman. His name is Eric Peterson, who is a Marine and a businessman, a family man. He's the kind of guy that all of us would really hope would be, all of our council people, essentially people like him. He appointed me to our planning commission. But we had a problem in that previous council had put an area in our town that was essentially all the way from the 405 down to the coast. That was an area that could be having a 100-unit-an-acre high-density housing. And it was the builders and the chambers of commerce and all the folks, the state, all working in collusion to put this together. So they built a number of these type of developments. The people of the city got wind of it because they were less than honest about what the intention was originally. They said it was going to be a commercial revitalization, not a high-density apartment building lane. Then the people got angry. We came along, offered them another option of a good councilman, and they jumped at it, and also were successful at removing a couple of bad ones at the same time, so it was a win-win for the city. And then what we did is when Eric came into power, he brought a measure last year to limit, really put in a box the development that had been approved, because, you'll laugh about this, but it literally had no limit to density at all. You could have built 1,000 units an acre if they wanted to. So what we did was we put in sensible limits to development. It passed, and then we were almost immediately sued by a group called the Kennedy Commission. What they are is essentially a front group for a leftist affordable housing type of group. Mm-hmm. And they concocted a story where they claimed that they had 2 homeless Vietnam veterans that Huntington Beach denied affordable housing to by us changing the rules. And they sued us. They shopped a judge in L.A., and they got a judgment from that judge.
Okay, now, let me ask you if you can explain to my listeners here, when we talk about this housing problem and what the government's trying to do here. This is, I would assume, I'm very ignorant on some of this stuff, but I would assume that what we're talking about when we say affordable housing is somehow allowing people to move in that can't afford to pay what the standard prices would be, and maybe having government subsidies offset the balance or something like that?
Well, there is to a certain degree, but it's very slight, and it's very misleading, as most of this type of thing is, as you know. So when we say affordable housing, every city mandates some level of affordable housing. If you're familiar with, we have a regional government. Its name is SCAG. It's Southern California Association of Governments. They are an unelected, hugely unconstitutional board, the largest one of its kind in the country. They send all the cities in Southern California what they call a regional housing needs assessment number. And it is essentially a number that they dictate to cities, and they say, this is your fair share of affordable housing that you must allot for in this time period. So we were sent this number, and then we were, again, for what the lawsuit basis was that by changing the rules that we did last year, that we broke that regional housing needs number, essentially. So that was the basis of the lawsuit, which is still pending.
Okay, now, when we talk about affordable housing, who sets the price at what's affordable?
So, again, the SCAG does, and what they do is, for example, I have a relative that runs the Albany Public Housing Department. Back in Albany, all they do is say whatever 3% of your income is, that's what you'll pay for housing. That's what I would say is true affordable housing. What we do here is there are 4 or 5 different levels of what they call low income, very low income, and on, that are a percentage of what the area's median income is. So one first level might get you 10% off the median or 20% or 30%, but essentially there's nothing that is a tremendous, whitewashing of a market rate there.
Okay, now in terms of when these people are allowed this affordable housing under these circumstances, do they get favorability when it comes to loans, or are they just allowed to move in? How does that work?
Well, from what I understand, there's quite a waiting list, as you might imagine if you were to get affordable housing in a nice city like Huntington Beach. So I don't know what the entire process of that is, but I know there's quite a waiting list for it here in this town.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just curious. I mean, I would speculate that if you've got a housing list and you come up on the list and they say, okay, they check your income and say, okay, you qualify based on your income level or whatever. Now, how does the house get mortgaged? And I wonder if we're leading back into the subprime thing, that kind of thing, where it could be leading that way. And of course, the government is somewhere along the line here. I'm sure the government's got promises in there about the full faith and credit of the government to take care of all this stuff, move people into
Just let me interrupt for 1 second. All of this is apartment building here in Huntington Beach.
There's
nothing purchased here. There are a couple small developments. We just approved one a few months ago that was 13 homes. We had them have one of it had to be low-income home, and it was just a fraction off of what market rate is. But I will tell you that we hold them to a covenant that they have to keep it low income for 35 years, which is essentially a rent control.
Okay, and I would imagine that a lot of apartment owners aren't real happy about this.
Well, here's the interesting part of this. So before this boom in high-density housing, which, to backtrack a little bit, you're exactly right. The inception of it is Agenda 21, sustainable development. It is what this really, the core of this all is. But at the beginning of this, before this came down, you might have been successful on Beach Boulevard of building a housing unit development that maybe had 20 units an acre, Now, through this charade of this, they're allowing you to build 100 plus units an acre. So I'm not aware of a person that wouldn't jump at the chance to have 10, 20 times the zoning that they could have had previously. I mean, it's nothing but a moneymaker for the landowner.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that looks at. I can see the landscape beginning to look like some of the European Union countries over there. I was just over there, and some of their tenement buildings over there are called 8, 9, 10 stories high. It's like it's amazing. It's amazing. They don't build out. They build up. And that kind of stuff. So, wow, that's intriguing.
Let me
go ahead.
Yeah, let me share a little. There's a little interesting part of this that I was curious about. SCAG again, the regional government, because I believe, based on Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, that a regional government that acts like they do cannot exist legally under the Constitution. So I researched that. Then I went in researching what they use to essentially force all the low-income housing. And what SCAG claims is that the California is still growing in population. So I went to their website. I took the demographics they use off of their website. Then I went to the state of California, and I pulled their demographics off of their website. They don't match.
Right.
The state of California, which supersedes SCAG, says the population is declining in Orange County. So I brought this information out at a planning commission meeting, and as a result, we turned around and threatened a lawsuit with SCAG over their demographics. And since then, El Segundo has sued SCAG as well over their demographics, which are flawed.
Yeah, I guess they're under the assumption that nobody ever checks what it is they tell us. And
yes.
And we've covered it on this show. Because of the fact that we know there's businesses vacating the state of California hand over fist, that there's got to be people leaving along with that. So, one feeds the other, and vice versa. Yeah. So, and I've noticed, I've noticed in my neck of the woods. I'm out here in Norwalk, California, and I've noticed the way the housing is coming up over here. It's the same thing. They're building much more units on the same acreage of land land than they used to. It used to be, you see an apartment building out here, 2 levels, maybe 3. But now they're starting. In fact, what they're doing now is they're tearing down some of the apartment buildings and rebuilding them so they can put more units on it. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on with that. So, okay, listen, we got to go to. I'm sorry. Yeah, we got to go to a break here. We've got Michael Hoskinson out of Santa Monica's Tea Party, but is the one of the housing commissioners out here in Orange County, California. And when we get back, Michael, I want to talk to you about. The strategy that you guys employed out there in Huntington Beach to bring about the change that you did in your elected officials. So stay with us, guys, right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We got a lot more for you.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame. He owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world. Then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
All right, hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. We have Michael Hoskinson of Orange County Planning Commission out here in Orange County, California, Surf City, I like to recall it. And Michael, we were talking earlier. What's going on back there? We got some background noise going on.
I'm driving, actually.
Oh, okay, all right. Anyway, we were talking about the situation here with the housing out there going, not only in Huntington Beach, as you pointed out, but all across, not on California, probably all across the land. But I wanted to shift gears here. This situation here that came about, I believe this was a couple of years ago, back in 2014, with Michael Daly being able to form a group, the HBCF group, Huntington Beach Community Forum. And I was really intrigued by the strategy that you guys have employed and what we wanted to talk to you about, what we wanted to ask you about, because we've been floating this out here in Garden Grove. I'm involved with a group in Garden Grove, and we've been looking at some strategies on how to do pretty much what you're doing right now. The idea now that where we are in social media today compared to where we were in 2014, do you think that social media is still the primary way to do this, given the fact that we now know that Facebook and Google and Twitter are all pretty much under leftist control?
Yeah, I think at the moment it's the 800-pound gorilla, John. I don't think there's another really a way around it at the moment. And I know there's a lot of folks that are concerned about security in these venues, but by the same token, we're all carrying around a smartphone, which is essentially a live mic back to Silicon Valley, so it's half again one or the other. But I think Facebook essentially is the one we use because what Michael Daly did, he started the Huntington Beach Community Forum because we were having a big battle about a bag ban. The folks that we had a leftist-controlled city council that forced a bag ban against the wishes of the people, and we were telling them in no uncertain terms to rescind it, and they did not. And at one of the meetings where one of the conservative members of council was trying to get a vote to rescind it, Michael was in the audience, and he started the forum on Facebook on his cell phone because he was so angry about this and wanted to start a dialogue with other people. Mm-hmm. And what we did was when that became, a couple thousand folks on there, the few of us that were starting to work to hopefully make a change on the city council decided to use that to force accountability for the public officials. And all we did was simply start asking questions in public of these folks. The good ones responded, the bad ones shrunk away and never responded to the public at all. And the ones that didn't respond lost.
Yeah, that's. I'm so intrigued by this because we've been looking at this. Like, how do we make this happen? How do we do this? How do we get this working in a more effective way than what we've done? And one of the things I've noticed here that you talk about the getting 20 to 30 people to be the first members of the forum. You just recruit internally, just people that you know that are basically thinking the same way you did.
Yeah, exactly. What you want to do is you want to. It sounds kind of base, but you want to create something of value for the town. You want to create a place where real people can have real dialogue about real issues in the town that is unfettered by the sort of propaganda that even a city council level will throw out. Because politicians all try to control the message, and they all want to have it go out in their favor. So you want to create something that has no control by any groups, and it really is a true grassroots effort.
Yeah, we're looking at in our organization, what we're looking at is going after school boards. And that's where we thought this because of all this transgender crap that's going on, we're saying, the time has come that we really need to get some moral people, at least on school boards, so we can stop and turn some of this stuff around. And
absolutely.
So the strategy that you're laying out here, I think, is extremely interesting. Oh, I know what I'm hearing. Do you have me on your speakerphone?
Yes, like I said, I'm driving.
Okay, that's why we've got a problem here, because you're feeding back here. You're phasing us out. Okay, so anyway, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to have to cut the interview short here, Mike, because the sound here is not going to be good. People are not going to hear what we're talking about. So I appreciate you taking the time. Maybe we can redo this some more time when you can sit in an office somewhere and we don't have to deal with the sound issues.
No problem, John. Be my pleasure anytime.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay.
You bet.
God bless you. Yeah, I wondered what was going on there. You send these people instructions and you say, don't do this and don't do that, and they do everything that you tell them not to do. I told them, no speakers, no speakerphones. Call me from someplace where you're quiet.
Yeah, I know.
When we answer the line, you're going to be live, so please, no noise.
Yes. Hey, the one thing that the article said, you get your Facebook group. The thing I'd like to stress for that, what I was going to mention too, is the vigilance you must maintain, that you must have over that particular group, because you're going to have infiltrators come on there and try to cause upheaval and dissension and all kind of just chaos, and you can't allow that to happen. You're going to have people that, especially if your group is about your town, you don't want people from outside your town getting involved in this, because they have no skin in the game. They're just trying to cause problems. So yeah, the vigilance that you must maintain over that particular group, you just can't let it run and think it's going to take care of itself. You're going to have people to maintain it and administer over it.
Yeah, well, the biggest problem when it's the universal problem with social media, is that you want everybody to be involved in the group, but you want everybody to retain some level of civility in terms of personal attacks. I'm one of these people that, and I have been as guilty of it as anybody else at times, but I think I've really fixed myself in terms of that. And that is, when you're debating an issue, anything, to me it's okay. You can say whatever you want to about the issue. But when you start getting into the person that's debating the issue, and it gets into name calling and everything else, what do you resolve? I mean, I learned that the hard way. I was one of these people. Yeah, I like calling people idiots when they're idiots, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to, feed the dialogue. So I kind of adopted what I call the umpire strategy. And that is that if an umpire makes a bad call, you can say anything you want about the call, but don't say anything about the umpire. That kind of thing. That was an effing bad call, that kind of thing. But then you don't turn around and call the guy an MFer, It doesn't work that way, and that's why I think, been able to maintain some of the dialogues that I have with people that I'm going to tell you are as opposite me as they come. But I've been able to have at least decent dialogue with many of them. Some of them are just, at some point, I get the people that come after me personally. You're a tin hat guy and all this, that, and the other. Those guys, one guy, I remember him just saying something along the line of, your talking points are just so boring. You must be a really boring person. And I said, well, what the hell are you still doing here then?
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you go yawn somewhere else?
Yeah, so he doesn't come on anymore. That's fine. If I'm so boring, but if I'm just here to feed your ego that you're some kind of pseudo-intellectual and just so far advanced above my mental capabilities, I don't need you. I don't need you. I'm a legend in my own mind, just like everybody else is. For crying out loud!
It's not why we do this.
Yeah, it's not why we're doing this. Now, politicians, another thing. No holds barred on politicians. You can call in whatever you want.
Well, they more or less deserve it half the time anyway. More than half the time, actually. As our friends in the Republican Senate have just did for us today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's see, this is what I want to talk about. We're going to get more into the gun control thing, and I want to talk about this in terms of the 15-hour filibuster that was started yesterday while we were on the air, and ended with, of course, the GOP putting their tails between their legs, placing their testicles back in the jar, and if they ever took them out, and conceding that they'll allow a vote on gun control. I think it's Monday or Tuesday next week. So let's talk about that when we get back. Stay with us right here. It's a Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, along with Joe Hakos, and hey, check our website out sometime, theconservativesyndicate.net. There's a lot going on out there. Our affiliates are growing, and in leaps and bounds. There's so much going on here. Some of the affiliates that we're dealing with are on the verge of just exploding even more than they already are. And the Red State Rising, Red State Talk Radio, ICRN, some of these High Plains Radio, all these affiliates that we have out there are just, I'm so pleased at what they're doing out there in terms of expanding the market and promoting us and everything else. And I'm looking forward to a really good year this year. We did over 2 million listeners last year. Who knows where we're going to end up this year? So I'm jacked. I'm stoked. All right, let's get back here. the issue of gun control, which is the game here. It isn't even about immigration. It isn't about homosexuality, for sure. These are just the groups that are being exploited for the purpose of being able to present propaganda that will either bully or guilt America into perhaps surrendering their gun rights, because we know they'd have a hell of a time. They'll have a hell of a time being able to just, hey, let's just do away with the Second Amendment. Now, even the liberals, even the Republicans, as pussy-whipped as they are, would not concede that. It has to be a process by which the American public is beaten into submission, verbally, politically, and any other way that the government can get away with. So that's the end game here. And what we did yesterday, I guess what I want to say is, I am sometimes so overwhelmed at how accurate we are on this show as to what's coming down the pipeline. For instance, listening to Rush Limbaugh today, I didn't listen to him. What I did was I just wanted to see where he was at. And so I went to his website, and I get an email from them, with the different transcripts from different segments of the show. And even he hasn't caught up with us yet as far as where we see this going. Now, yeah, he'll talk about the Second Amendment. This is all about an attack on the Second Amendment. But very little in terms of the strategy involved and how they're going about doing it, how they're going about getting the American people to surrender their rights willfully under the cloud of deception and everything else, all for the common good, all for public safety, all these buzzwords that they use. And we had proposed to you yesterday that basically what was going to happen here, the end game here is to get gun control permit or gun permit issuance under the auspice of the federal government. And I had even floated the idea that perhaps it might start out with maybe the federal government coming out with directives, much like Loretta Lynch did a couple months ago with the traffic ticket situation of people being jailed for not showing up at traffic court dates and stuff like that. And traffic fines can be pretty steep. Getting a bench warrant for not appearing in court or not paying the fine can be even steeper, and you can end up in jail. I got a ticket here, 2 years ago? Just blew me away. I got a ticket for making a right-hand turn on a red light, which in California is supposed to be lawful. But what they do, they set up these little traps, and they have a little sign out there. It's usually on the opposite of the street, so you don't see it. And it says something along the lines of no right turn between the hours of 3 and 5. Okay? And it's usually like in a school area or something like that. And of course, you understand why. These kids are, trooping in school, that kind of thing. But they put it in a place where you don't really see it. And so I make this right-hand turn on a street that for the last 25 years I've made a right-hand turn. And they had poked the sign up here, I guess, just a few weeks before that, and I get ticketed. I get nailed to the camera, and they got a camera up there, and they nail me, right? $500 fine.
Phew.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now, I went to court because I was gonna say, wait a minute. One, the fine is outrageous. Two, where did that sign come from? I didn't see any sign. And when did you guys put that up anyway? And but now when you get to the court, you have to pay the fine and then request a court date. And if they determine that your case is valid, then what they'll do is they'll refund you the money. Okay, so that was a scary situation, because here I am in the middle of court getting ready to stand up in front of the judge, and all of a sudden I see the little disclaimer in the back of the judge's seat that says you must pay your fine first. And I'm like, I don't have $500 on me. So I left the courtroom, and now I'm thinking, now I'm going to get a failure to appear because I was scheduled to appear at this time. I went down and went down to the bank, drew money out of one account, put it in that account, and then ended up going online and just paying the fine. Just because now I'm got a failure to appear. They're not even going to listen to me. So I got stuck. I had to pay $500 for something I wanted to contest just because of the bureaucracy involved. But the point being, The point being is that kind of thing, and Loretta Lynch out there issuing directives to cities saying, don't do this, don't prosecute, don't make these people pay their fines if they're, what's the word, indigenous, poor, which is a technical term, I guess, for poor.
Indigent.
Okay, yeah. And it's like, okay, well, who determines what the poverty level is? That kind of thing.
The government determines that. You know that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and again, bringing out the narrative with it that this is racist anyways because it targets people of color that live in, low-income neighborhoods and stuff like that. So that's what's going on here with the gun control thing. I said all that to say this. This is what's going on with the gun control thing. It's trying to get us to a place where we just concede the argument that's being presented to us in the narrative is we have to do something.
You mean like the Republican Senate did yesterday then?
Right.
We give up. You've been talking for 14 hours. Oh, shut up. We give up already.
Yeah, right. And yet not one of these people supported Ted Cruz when he was out there for, 20 hours? Talking about defunding Obamacare or whatever it was he was talking about?
Yeah, and these people are trying to get rid of rights, and just finally get to give up. Come on, stand up for us.
Yeah, so what we have here is we have a situation where the objective is, the way the narrative is being presented is you would think we have no regulations at all. As Hillary Clinton said, you just go out and buy a gun without any questions asked.
Yeah, bull crap.
Yeah, the states have regulations. They have rules. They do background checks. They do all that stuff. And the people still get guns to do what they want to do. And by the way, the lawless people, most of them that don't have gun permits, either steal the gun from somebody else or they get it illegally. So I don't care how much stuff you put on paper. But my point being is we laid out a plan to you. And we said, this is what we see coming down the pipeline. And as soon as I got off the air yesterday, I listened to Jay Johnson, the head of Department of Homeland Security, and his words just floored me. Because I'm thinking, my God, this is, I was speculating just an hour ago what was going to happen, and he's already out there doing it.
Yep.
So we're going to review that plan. We're coming up here at the end of our hour here. We're going to review that plan, and then we're going to add the little tidbits that have taken place in just 24 hours since we presented this to you, 24 hours ago. And see how fast this thing is advancing. And it leads Joe and I to believe that this thing is more than just coincidental.
Yeah.
This thing is not just something that has just once again risen to the surface. This is the okie doke that's going to keep everybody's eyes off of Hillary Clinton's email problems. This is going to be the way that they're going to attack her opponent, Donald Trump. It's not just immigration anymore. It's going to be, you want people to have guns so they can go out and kill homosexuals. That's the way the narrative is going to be. But the way this is coming down, it just floors me. It just floors me when I see how fast the left can move on things, and how stagnant the Republican Congress is. It's flabbergasting that after 8 years of this guy, the Republicans have not figured out any effective strategy in stopping this guy. So it only makes me believe that they don't want to stop the guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't care.
They are useless.
Yeah, just totally useless. And if anybody has given rise to Donald Trump, that it's the Republican Party. They've created their own monster, don't you think, Joe?
Absolutely. If the establishment is upset that Donald Trump has come to be where he's at right now, they only have themselves to blame. Absolutely, because they have fecklessly just ignored the people that put them into office and mind-numbingly accept whatever the Democrats do. They stand up there; they're a minority in the part, and they're both houses of Congress, and yet you would think that they were the majority in both houses of Congress.
Yeah, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's the tactic employed by the left, and the Republicans don't even want to pick up the oil can. They just, whatever, just shut the door so that we don't have to listen to the squeak, that kind of thing. Hey, it's the top of the hour here. We got to go to a break. Edward's Notebook coming up, and then we'll pay some bills. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Wow, what happened there? Boy, did I just completely botch that whole thing up.
Wow.
I was getting ready to type something on my other keyboard, and I hit this keyboard, and just I reset the whole thing. Hey, stay with us. We'll be back.
As the European Union goes, so Obama and Hillary want to take America. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, it is common knowledge that President Obama, Hillary Clinton, and others want the United States to be more like Europe. Not the stable, reasonably prosperous Europe of civility, stable nations that are allies of a strong and prosperous United States of America, but rather more like the European Union of today, where nations like Sweden, Germany, and sections of Great Britain are overrun with grossly inhumane Muslim brutes who are literally teeming into once very prosperous and civilized nations and are plundering them through rape, beatings, and destruction of property. While the government stand by and do very little to protect the civilized people from ravenous, dog-like Muslims who wreak havoc for pleasure. The reason? The governments don't protect the people of Europe is the same stupid reason the San Jose, California Police Department did not protect Donald Trump supporters from pro-illegal immigrant anti-American thugs who, like Obama and the leaders of the European Union, are using the Muslim barbarians to disrupt and fundamentally change civilized nations with varying degrees of freedom and prosperity into poor, dependent societies, much like was done to African nations in the 1960s via the communist movement. I'm Ron Edwards.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment, credit qualification required, cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, we're back. Hour 2 right here at the Conservative Syndicate, and I'm your host along with Joe Hakos. And, hey, let's get right into this. We got to do some catch-up here because of my technical dyslexia, which is just, for some reason, in overdrive today. Just unreal. Okay, we presented to you yesterday what I thought was going to be the strategy for placing gun control as one of the main proponents of the DNC platform in their upcoming convention. I believe it's in July.
Yes.
And also what we can expect in terms of Hillary's campaign as being, this will be, I think, one of the central issues, if not the central issue. Of course, it'll be used in conjunction with being a sexist and being a racist. But it'll be front and center. The idea that Trump wants to arm America to kill everybody that's not white Protestant. I think that's the way it's going to be. That's the generalized way it's going to be presented. Now, this is what I laid out to you yesterday, based on what we see right now, what we saw as of yesterday. Like I said, it's picked up. The rhetoric is picked up. The gun permit issuance is going to be placed under DHS, centralizing permit issuance of firearms. That's the end game here. We know that states right now already do background checks. We know that states. By the way, I read there was a gun shop owner that actually turned away the Orlando shooter, from buying a gun from him. So
he also reported that he wanted to buy body armor.
Oh, is that what he wanted?
Yeah, he also wanted to buy body armor as well.
Yeah. So, there are some. Maybe the idea here is that somebody just wanted the bucks. I don't know. That's not the point. It doesn't matter if every gun shop owner out there was a crook, and everyone was a leftist Nazi. It still doesn't mean that the Second Amendment should be done away with. So let's keep it in perspective. Anyway, what they want is I said what they would do is they would try to move to have common sense gun safety control measures placed under the authority of the Department of Homeland Security. The second thing is that if they can place you on a watch list, if they determine that you're some kind of threat, that they can put you on a watch list, and if you show up in a watch list, you can't buy a gun. It's going to be verbatim. Just you can't do it. Okay, we talked about how the watch lists are determined, and the fact is, once your name is on a watch list, you're not going to even be able to find out who put you on the watch list, and you're not going to be able to get your name pulled off because of the bureaucracy involved in getting it done. It's just so bureaucratic. It's kind of like the IRS. You get on the IRS's radar, you don't know who punched that button on the keyboard that put you into that audit, thing and everything else, and you can't get anybody in IRS to answer the phone or anything else. It's impossible. And then using the James Clapper background check, which Joe brought to our attention last week. What was it? Directive 30, I believe it was called, Directive 5 or something like that.
It's Security Executive Agent Directive 5, collection, use, and retention of publicly available social media information in personal security background investigations and adjudications.
Yeah, meaning if you decide to apply for employment with public sector, you're going to have to give them permission to review your social media.
Yeah, but now they're just going to use it for everybody.
Right, and we said that what that would do is that would eventually be expanded into everything, and especially when it comes to gun control. If you're going to put this under federal jurisdiction, that they're the final say on who gets a gun, then you're going to have to allow them to do the same thing. You'll be signing consent forms for that. And you'll have to sign it before they won't. How you get on those applications, where it says you'll get some kind of little disclaimer that says that you don't have to allow this. You don't have to authorize it. But if you don't authorize it, you don't get it. Okay. Yeah, we're not forcing you to give us authorization to review everything that you have and your information and everything. But if you don't do it, we're not going to process your application. That kind of thing. That's how that'll come down. Then we talked about the fact that the government would then just bog everything down in bureaucracy.
Which is what they do in like New Jersey, California, Illinois, New York. They already do that there.
Yeah, and at a federal level, it's going to be to the nth degree.
Oh yeah.
And you might die. Your gun permit application might become part of your estate that you leave to your children when you die, waiting for it to happen. That kind of thing.
Nope, never happened. They have to reapply on their own.
Yeah. So yeah, that's true. So what would happen is the government would basically, through regulation and laws and everything else, circumvent the Second Amendment and render it useless.
Yeah, they just strangle their Second Amendment in red tape.
Right, and then we haven't even, and now we can talk about the idea of what would happen with this social media thing going to the federal level, where the federal level takes this James Clapper thing and says, yeah, if we're going to review who you are and do background checks on you and determine whether you need to be put on a watch list, we are going to, if you're going to apply for a gun permit, you're going to have to give us access to your social media. You have to allow us to use your social media to determine your eligibility to get a gun permit. Boy, and how's that going to work when the government, the very people that are opposing the issuance of guns to average Americans anyways, are going to look at every little thing you do and every little thing you say. I can guarantee you, based on the stuff I've posted on my Facebook page and my Twitter page, I ain't getting a permit.
Well, they'll say this. It says here that you refuse to answer any questions about guns in your house and your medical screening interview that you did for your annual checkup. So, no, we're not going to allow you to have a permit now.
Right, exactly. Or maybe
just use it, something arbitrarily like that.
That's right.
It's part of the health care.
Right. Now, along that line here, we're at the end of this segment here. We're at a short segment here. When we come back, I'm going to talk about an article, and then we're going to an article written by Paul Sperry at New York Post, entitled "Obama's Final Days Show His True Socialist Agenda." We're going to cover this real briefly, and then we're going to get into where this is going to go, and actually how Obama. We're going to answer the question. We're going to answer the question as to why Obama is so silent on, in a lot of ways, on what goes on when these shootings occur. Joe's got something to offer on this, and I totally concur with it. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. It's time for Moments of Madness.
Today on Moments of Madness. Now that Hillary's $12,000 Armani jacket has been stored away with more concern for its security than her email server, we can take a presumptive look at what her campaign, as well as the DNC platform and what she will run, will look like, providing, of course, plans do not change from running for office to being fitted for an orange jumpsuit complete with her own monogrammed inmate number. Bernie Sanders' strong finish in the last of the national primaries. He won Montana and North Dakota. finished close everywhere else and was only blown out in New Mexico, has earned him a secret meeting with Obama. One we can presume will seek to find common ground on how open the DNC should be in their evolving transformation of the United States of America, from republicanism with its greedy capitalistic economic system to the Marxist wealth redistribution model Obama envisions, utilizing creative destruction, the transferring of independent wealth to the coffers of central planners. The GOP platform will be no different, dealing with the fallout of Donald Trump's populist tsunami, one that shows no signs of letting up. The GOP establishment is plotting their survival course by attempting to prove the only attire Trump is fit to wear is a straitjacket, complete with accessorized restraining straps. Their platform also promises to be an experiment in evolutionary monetarism as they paint their planks Obama blue while trying to convince us it is still Reagan red. So intent are they to destroy Trump, they are still trying to sell the idea an independent candidate of their choice can once again dupe their base into supporting their false narrative that limited government can only be achieved through unlimited compromise. Here's the madness. One thing we can be sure of, we won't have to worry about either side taking time to articulate how their respective positions are going to reduce poverty, restore racial tranquility, and save the world from that nasty JV team in the Middle East. Paul Ryan's latest attempt at putting together a blueprint of recovery, this time entitled A Better Way. Remember the path toward prosperity? Yeah, neither do I. Prefaces his rehashed plan with a benevolent scolding of those who oppose the establishment, having no part in finding a solution, as if to imply identifying and debating the problems we face today are irrelevant in the process of finding much-needed answers. We can complain about it, referring to our current direction, but that won't change things, Speaker Ryan begins, and he's right. As far as we can tell, our complaints have fallen on the deaf ears of him and his cronies for at least the last 4 election cycles. The Democrats? Not much better there either. They'll just continue to lie, spin, and deceive their base into believing the only thing that has inhibited Obama's grand plan of transformation is time and seats on the Supreme Court bench. I wouldn't be surprised if their platform consists of one sentence: see previous administration. So what can we expect in a race that both sides claim is crucial to our survival, but have geared their campaigns based primarily on populist rhetoric embraced by an ignorant electorate? We can expect to be further nurtured and exploited at our expense by both sides. From the left, we can expect to be inundated with verbal gaffes elevated to policy positions by the media, racial and gender tensions to be played as the defining factor in job qualifications, as well as patriotic indicators by their nominee. Scandals as nothing more than a justifiable means to an end, and of course the promise of socio-economic equality at the expense of American exceptionalism, which preaches opportunity over entitlement. From the other side, we can expect rhetorical unity to hide fear and disdain for those of us who have placed them in office. We can expect the same promises made to us repackaged to appeal to those who historically support the likes of Obama and Clinton. Join us so that we can stop the Democrats' destruction of America. Give us the chance to lie to you. Is there a bright side? Perhaps. Hillary Clinton speaking on election night, once again adorned in her Armani jacket, announcing she has won the election, but will spend her first 100 days trying to avoid having to replace it with that orange jumpsuit sounds good. Or breaking news to GOP establishment folks are lining up and jumping out of their Plaza Suite windows. Either scenario has got to be the silver lining on the storm that is quickly descending upon us. This reminds me, I need a new umbrella. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. Hey, we're back, and we are the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, along with Joe Hakos, and let's get into this, because I guess maybe what it is, I'm just jumpy today, because I so much want to get out to you, our audience, where this thing is going, and how it's going to be played out. We can say things, generally speaking. We can say things like, oh, yeah, they want to control our guns. But until you really know what they're doing and how they're doing it, really doesn't give you
until you know that, you don't have the impact of actually what they're trying to do. See, it's one thing, and this is the problem we have as Americans. When these kind of things come out, when we talk about things that are bordering on conspiracies, and even if we happen to say, yeah, this might be a conspiracy, the tendency of the average American is going, nah, that can't happen. This is America. That can't happen. Well, folks, it is happening. And yes, it's still America for the time being, but it is happening, and it's happening in a big way. And this idea that most Americans are just in this constant state of denial and don't see what's going on or don't want to know what's going on, which is even worse, and then all of a sudden it surfaces and everybody's looking around like a deer in the headlights, like, what the hell is happening? Well, wait a minute, where did that come from? So we're trying to give you that. We're trying to give you a heads up here as to what's coming down the pipeline here, because it is coming. And if we don't do something to stop it, God help us. An article out of New York Post by Paul Sperry. Obama's final days show his true socialist agenda. And what Mr. Sperry is pointing out is that there's several things that Obama's doing now. Now he doesn't have to worry about running for a third term. He's just, he's just let the guns loose. And he's just throwing everything up against the wall that he wanted to do in his first two terms, or in his first term, but wouldn't do because, he had to worry about re-election. That Alinsky idea, never let the public know what you're really doing. Never let them know what you're really up to. And he goes and he lists a few things, capping interest rates, the transgender bathroom thing. This is all part of his agenda. The apology tour going around to foreign countries.
I love that. The Politburo of potties.
Yeah. Going like the latest one, going over to Japan and apologizing for bombing them. That kind of stuff. But here's one, and this is so contradicts the narrative that's coming out of the Obama camp, and will come out of the Hillary Clinton camp once Obama is silenced. Okay, once he no longer has that bully pulpit from which he can speak. De-incarceration. Obama has now commuted the prison sentences of more convicted felons than the past 6 presidents combined, 450 counting. And that's on top of the 44,000 felons he's releasing early from federal prison, not to mention the dozens of al-Qaeda leaders he's freed from Gitmo. Our lawless president justifies the mass pardons by claiming all of the offenders are nonviolent. But that's just crazy talk, says Steve Cook, president of the National Association of Assistant U.S. Attorneys. Many of these pardoned under Obama's clemency program, in fact, were armed drug traffickers with a long rap sheet. One had 8 prior felony drug convictions, while another was caught with 40 firearms. Do you think these guys give a rat's ass about gun regulation and rules and background checks and everything else? All right. The other one here is depolicing. Speaking to Howard University grads last month, Obama let it slip out that he's appointed Black Lives Matter activist Brittany Packnick to the White House task force to help retrain police departments across the country to go easy on black suspects. Her recommendations are now being adopted across the country. Part of the directives we were talking about with Loretta Lynch. So these two aspects of his socialist agenda have been shown. They are what they are, and they're now out for public review if the public wants to take time to review them. Now, having said that, we've talked about the latest shooting out here in Orlando, how the guy that got the guns had a permit to conceal and carry, was a security officer, which means he had a background check, and had been on a watch list by the FBI, but was taken off that watch list. And it begins to kind of give us the idea that maybe Trump was on to something when he said either Obama is a sympathizer with Muslims or he knows a lot more than he's telling us. I believe that's pretty much in context what the quote was. And what we were implying is that what we're implying right now is that Barack Obama may not be a Muslim sympathizer or an Islamic radical sympathizer, but he is an enabler who wants to not let a good crisis go to waste on the bigger game of doing what? Being able to destroy the Second Amendment.
Yeah, fundamentally transforming the United States.
I know you got a whole pitch on this, Joe. Go for it.
Well, it's just funny how this works out. Like you were saying, this guy in Orlando I had background checks, and what was this whole filibuster yesterday about? Increased background checks. We should not let terrorists get weapons easily, and so the FBI knew about this guy, and now I was thinking about what the FBI also knew about the San Bernardino shooters as well. And it's like, look, if they're for political correctness, big quotes here, political correctness being told and mandated, you can't hold these people because, or look at them or keep them on a list because, well, you're profiling them. Mm-hmm. You're profiling these people, and it makes you wonder, okay, so you're profiling, and then all of a sudden these people go out and perform these violent acts, and then all we hear is, we don't hear it's Islamic terrorism. All we hear is, hey, each and every time we got to do something about guns.
Right.
We got to take care of the guns. The guns are the problems. It's like, maybe they're allowing this stuff to go because, let's face it, what do they want to do? They want to take your health care away? They've done that. They've taken control of your health care. And now, what do you want to do to control the people? Well, you have to disarm them. Well, how are you going to disarm them? They know they can't just get rid of the Second Amendment. So they have to make it impossible for you to get a weapon. And as we've been saying all on this show the whole night long, is they want Americans to willingly give up the fight.
Yeah, it goes beyond now. It goes beyond just an ideological debate about something. There is a strategy that is being employed.
Yeah, and don't think that they don't have this strategy. Hey, I'm looking at an article from Reuters, and it was talking about this thing that Murphy did yesterday that would expand the background check and procedures, sale of all firearms, includes those online and gun laws. And then it talked about, hey, the Republicans have one, and they want to. Chuck Grassley wants to provide law enforcement to be notified of a person investigated for terrorism in the last 5 years and tries to buy a gun. And it's like, okay, great. And then any bill that would have to pass both houses of Congress and be signed by the president to become law. And that is weekly news conference. This is great. Weekly news conference. Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, injected a note of caution. We don't take away citizens' rights without due process. I want you to remember that word, due process. These words, due process, said Ryan, the top U.S. elected Republican. If you have a quick idea in the heat of the moment that says, let's take away persons' rights without due process, we're going to defend the Constitution. Now let me go to Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia, who was on the MSNBC's Morning Joe show, and Manchin talked about his hopes that there could be bipartisan support for gun control. He said the problem that we have here, and really the firewall that we have right now, is due process. It's all due process. So we can say we want the same thing, but how do we get there? The shooter in Orlando was brought in twice by the FBI. They did everything they could, but there was no way for them to keep him on the list or keep him off the gun buy list. So we can't say that if a person's under suspicion, there should be a 5-year period that we see good behavior before they can buy a gun. Maybe we can come to that kind of agreement, but due process is what's killing us right now.
Yeah, so the people that are out there telling us every time they need money for a re-election is that it's all about limiting government are now doing the same thing they've been trying to do with Obamacare. Repeal and replace. Let's get our version of this out there so that the American public that is right now think that we're just a bunch of white hating bigot homophobes, that they'll understand that we're just as compassionate as they are. Let's look at this just from a kind of a historical standpoint here. We have what we see coming down the pipe here is an expansion of federal overreach into state affairs and doing it the same way they do with other things. For instance, what Joe is saying here, that what if the government is directing somehow FBI investigators to either release people off of these watch lists or no-fly lists or whatever they're being put on Again, remembering that Obama is constantly telling us that they're being put on no-fly lists, but they're still able to buy guns. So you're letting these people off the watch list, okay? And if they're being directed by a higher source, the FBI, to let these people go, then that involves the FBI in this.
Yeah, quit profiling them. Get these people. You can't. That's unfair. That's not who we are.
Right, and see, this is an expansion of what happens. Sanctuary cities out here in California. What's sanctuary cities about? These are cities that have refused to comply with federal directives as to what to do when they arrest somebody who's here illegally. We don't ask, don't tell. It's just like the homosexual thing in the military. Don't ask these people if they're here illegally or not, and so they're released. And they're released back in society. And what happens? One goes out and gets a gun and blows a girl away out there in San Francisco. And we see that it's not being reported, but it's still going on, probably on a daily basis. So what we see is this expansion of government and using rhetoric that they need more authority to do something, but yet with the authority they have, they're not even doing what they're supposed to be doing. So this is a play on public sentiment. It's to get the sentiment turned in their direction, and then people start supporting their narrative.
Against the citizenry of the United States. Against citizens, not illegals, not Muslims, not people there. This is against American citizens.
Right.
The citizens to freely give up their rights. Hey, we got to take a break, John.
Yeah, we got to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about Jay Johnson's appearance on CBS yesterday morning, and then we're going to lay something else out for you. I think it will be more interesting to you and put everything more in a context. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame. He owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
We are back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we're trying to get to this place here where where we're able to just kind of put all the pieces together and give you an idea, which I think is almost right at this point a slam dunk, as to what the DNC platform is going to look like and the main hot issue that's going to be used in conjunction with everything else. Guns, homosexuality, and immigration are going to be interchangeable subjects.
Yeah, well, they can't go on the economy. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and it's all going to be...
National debt, we're $19 trillion in debt now.
And it's going to be to distract from the economy.
Yeah.
The changes that are coming down the pipe on Obamacare, the people are going to see this just before the election. They're talking about another 30-40% increases. Some of the state exchanges, the remaining ones, are having problems. You've got major health insurers pulling out of Obamacare. So there's the legacy of Obama is at stake here. And so we've got to have a new shiny object out there, another okey doke to put in front of you to pay attention to that. Email scandal with Hillary Clinton, possible indictment, even if it just comes out in the court of public opinion. Very damaging. We got to give you something else. We've got to turn all eyes back to the Republicans and Trump in particular. And
so it's kind of like this thing about gun control. Okay, and why it doesn't surprise me that maybe, just maybe, someone in the administration is saying, you got people on this watch list, you can let them go. The ones that look like they might actually do something, let them go so we can go ahead and have another incident like this. And they're always focused on the guns. They keep bringing up Sandy Hook. They keep bringing up all these other places where guns of war were used. You know, it's like, yeah, okay, fine. But as I asked you during the break, John, what was the most deadliest weapon used in Americans in the last 15 years?
Well, I know it wasn't guns.
That's right. It wasn't a gun. It was a box cutter.
Yeah. 3,000 people died because of that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see them freaking out over box cutters now, do you?
No.
It's because, I don't know. You could, if that was the most powerful weapon in the world right now was a box cutter, and the Second Amendment says the right to keep and bear arms, and the only arms you have are box cutters, I guess I'd be after it then.
Yeah. So we're in this. This is what's going to be. It's going to be the narrative is going to be Trump represents all the things bad with America. Okay, and all the things bad with America is white Protestant Christians and their guns and religion, clinging to their guns and religion.
The borders, want to keep American sovereignty intact, don't want to take care of veterans first before illegal aliens. Yeah, exactly. That's what's wrong with America.
Yeah, so that's going to be the narrative, and how this is going to come down. I said within the plan that we're laying out for you, and we laid this out for you yesterday. I'm just, like I said, I'm just blown away by the fact that, after I got off the air last night, and, anytime I speculate like this, and I sit there and I say, okay, well, this is where it's going to go. As somebody who tries to be credible, you sometimes think, well, God, I hope I'm not just completely off. I mean, in cases like this, I hope I am wrong. I mean, it would be great if I could say, oh, no, that's not really what's going on. But I think it's that elephant in the room kind of thing. Now, we got off the air last night, and like I said, I was doing post-editing, and I just happened to be looking at the internet while I was rendering some files. And lo and behold, I come up with this article by Nick Gass, and I didn't know that Jay Johnson had appeared on CBS News yesterday morning. And this is what he says. He says, Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson, this is on Tuesday, I am not anxious to plunge into yet another difficult, contentious issue like the ones I already have. See, they try to downplay it. We really don't want to be talking about this because it's so contentious. I do believe, however, that meaningful, responsible gun control is now part and parcel of the Homeland Security. And what we say to you, they're going to try to get these regulations and rules, but they want to put it under the umbrella of Homeland Security. He then goes on to say it's critical to public safety, but we have to face the fact that meaningful, responsible gun control has to be part of Homeland Security as well, given the prospect of homegrown, homeborn, violent extremism in this country. Where's that homegrown, violent extremism in this country coming from? Perhaps, as Joe is suggesting, these criminals that are being let go, these people that are being put on watch lists and then being released. They're potential homeborn violent extremists. And now the next step is to go after the internet, because of the big claim is this is how these guys are being trained, through the internet. So now we got, as we mentioned earlier, we got the father of the girl, the only American killed over in Paris, France, during the big shooting over there. He's suing Google. Why? Because and Facebook and Twitter, because social media is what helped these terrorists organize and be able to carry out their diabolical plans. And because it's all about free speech. Yeah, free speech, except my daughter died because of that free speech. Therefore, we need to curtail that free speech. FCC has control over the internet now. What's that mean? Net neutrality now is going to be the gauge by which we determine what can be posted on social media? And does that put you on a watch list? My goodness. So if you expressed any dissatisfaction with the administration, the government administration, particularly the executive branch, wow, could you now be subject because you're out there posting on social media that Obama sucks?
Oh, yeah. Well, who controls the content of the list?
Yeah. So here it is. They want to place gun issuance permits under the arm or under the umbrella, under the authority of the Department of Homeland Security. Now, I don't know about you. I think Department of Homeland Security is one of the agencies that should be abolished.
Yeah, it should be abolished. It should have never been formed because we already had a lot of agencies that, if they would have been doing their job,
yeah,
we wouldn't have had to worry about it. But no, they're still not doing their damn job. They're letting these people go. I mean, they're admitting that they're letting these people go. And how's Johnson specifically? He specifically brings out Orlando and San Bernardino.
Yep.
Two places we know that they had these people under surveillance. They knew about them already.
Now, let me just lay out a little point here for you, because the idea here is to circumvent the Second Amendment through the leftist narrative that we need common sense gun regulation. Okay, that's the narrative. We can no longer, as whoever that clown was, it was filibustering yesterday, we can no longer stand around. I won't. I'm not leaving here till I get what I want. This guy is out there screaming, you know.
His name's Murphy, and he's got enough already, enough.
Now let's look at this. I'm looking at a chart that came out of Fortune magazine. Percent of Americans who support stricter gun control laws, and it gives us a little chart just since June of 2015. 1 year ago. 1 year ago. It was about 78% of Democrats thought there needed to be more gun control. All right? See. All respondents, the general average was around 58%. Democrats at 78%. Everybody combined about 58%. Independents went from 52% up to about 56, 57%. And Republicans, even Republicans, went from 40% up to the end of the year, up to about 42%, okay? That is just a year. Now, we look at today, in January 2016, from June 2015 to January 2016, which is right after the San Bernardino shootings, am I right? It was in that proximity. Right?
Yeah, let's understand what happened. Yes, exactly.
Okay? Democrats went up to almost 90% of Democrats believe there should be gun control. The independents went up 5 points. Republicans went up 4 points. So what I'm getting at here is the narrative is working. It's convincing more and more Americans that there needs to be stricter gun control. And, of course, the GOP Congress or Senate yesterday conceded after, telling us, they're here to defend the Second Amendment, just like they're here to repeal Obamacare, just like they're here to bring back limited government. And what are they doing? They're caving in. Now, getting back to the conspiracy side of this thing, we'll do this right after the break. We're going to do a little review here in Alinsky tactics and bring some history back to your remembrance, or in some cases, I'm sure you're finding out for the first time. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
All our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas.
Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hicko, so we're going to get right back into this. I just left you with these statistics here, that just from June of last year till January of this year, we saw a massive jump or a remarkable jump in the number of people in the Democrat Party, or claim to be Democrats, that we need a regulation, gun control regulations. We saw even the independents, the fickle group out there, the people who can't decide from one day to the other who's at fault for everything, and they jumped up 3 or 4 points. And then even the Republicans went from about a 38% up to about 40%. That's a little bit of a jump, but when you put that into numbers, what it does is it makes that squeaky wheel a little louder. It just makes it a little louder. And now you have Congress here, in fear and trepidation, afraid of losing their Senate seats in the upcoming election, caving in and saying, yeah, we're going to take a vote. Now, I'm hearing people on the Republican Party say, yeah, we'll bring it up for a vote, but this isn't going anywhere. Yeah, I've heard that before. I've heard that plenty of times. Yeah, the budget isn't going to go anywhere. We're not going to vote on that. The funding for Planned Parenthood, yeah, that's not going to go anywhere. Obamacare, no, we're going to defund that. That's not going anywhere. And where are we at now? It's gone exactly where the left wants it to go, and they're still out there telling us that they got everything by the short hairs. They don't have anything but the short hairs, but their own. Okay, now switching over here to you, because I want to put this in context here. In terms of the leftist agenda first, and then a little history here. An article written by Garrett Geer, Beware of the Useful Idiots. And it's an article that recalls, or he attempts to recall, that Hillary Clinton did her college thesis on the writings of Sal Alinsky, and Obama writes about him in his book. Sal Alinsky is the icon. He's right up there with Karl Marx and Lenin and all the rest of them, Che Guevara and all the rest of them. Okay, now he died. Sal Alinsky died in June 1972. But anyway, look at Sal Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. If you've never read it, you should. It's a short read, and you can really understand it, because Sal Alinsky was not the brightest. Sharpest knife in the drawer.
Dedicated to John Boehner's most famous tweet guy, Lucifer.
Yeah, because at least he got a kingdom. Okay, that was Sal Alinsky. Lucifer, yeah, he deceived and lied, but at least he got a kingdom out of it. Now, I'm going to go through these real quick here, because what I want to do is I want to get to the historical stuff much more. Okay, Sal Alinsky talks about the number of things, the checklist of what has to happen in order to be able to bring about a political revolution, or, as Barack Obama said, the fundamental transformation of the United States of America. Number one, healthcare. Control healthcare, you control the people. Poverty. Get as many people impoverished as you can, because they're easier to control. It's called true believers. Debt. Increase the debt so that the system implodes. Gun control, number 4. Remove the ability to defend themselves from the government. You notice he doesn't say remove the ability to go out and terrorize the nation, or to go to a gay club and shoot people up, or to inflict bodily harm on anybody. He addresses it the way it is. To be able to defend themselves from the government. Don't tell me these people don't know what they're doing. Welfare. take control of every aspect of their lives, okay? Food, housing, we talked about that earlier. Section 8, all that other stuff, Agenda 21. Education, take control of what the people read and listen to. Now, our institutions today, hey, Bernie Sanders, most popular guy on college campus today, right? Uncle Bernie. Religion, remove the belief in God from government and schools. They've done that. Class warfare, divide everybody by race, creed, religion, color, the whole 9 yards. Okay, all that is happening right now. So don't tell me that Obama is some kind of centralist, pragmatic idealist. He is a full-fledged Alinskyite, along with Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, as we said, wrote her thesis. Now, let's get into the German stuff. I was telling Joe earlier, I had posted something out there along the line of, we know the gun control thing is part of the Communist Manifesto. Take their guns and give them health care, and you'll rule the world. And I was approached, or I was challenged by somebody out on Facebook that said, no, you got it all wrong. Karl Marx is not the guy that did that. Well, I looked up the Communist Manifesto, and I'm just going to concede that. Karl Marx wanted the workers armed because they were the ones that were going to conduct the war or the overthrow of the government. Of course, then we have to ask, well, what happened to them after the government was overthrown? What would happen to their guns then? Would they still be allowed to keep them? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I would speculate probably not, because then they become the threat. All right? And so I got to thinking about, it's actually more about Hitler. Barack Obama is actually mirroring more what Hitler was about than what even Saul Alinsky was about, or Karl Marx, or Joseph Stalin, or any of them. Okay? Why? Because what did they do? What did Hitler do? Well, in 1931, who was the guy's name here? Germany's Weimar Republic, which opted for gun registration, blah, blah, blah. Law-abiding citizens in Germany in 1931 conceded and surrendered their gun rights. And what happened was, in the interest of public safety. That's what it was. In the interest of public safety. And what happened was they said, we got to register everybody's guns. Everybody has to register their guns. And by the way, we got to make sure that these guns, these registrations are kept someplace safe so that people can't get their hands on them. We can't have extremists out there getting holds of these records. Well, what happened in 1933, Adolf Hitler came into power.
These rules were written by Werner Best, a future Gestapo official. And again, they were for public safety. So keep on going. 1933, Hitler comes into power, and remember the Frankfurt school has to leave Germany and come to Columbia University in New York.
All right, now let's look at that. Thank you for giving me the name here. I couldn't find it. Werner Best, future Gestapo official. Okay, and everything was being sold as in the interest of public safety. Common sense gun safety measures in the interest of public safety. The records, so forcing everybody to register their firearms. And then what happens? Adolf Hitler comes into power, he obtains those records, and he now knows who the enemy is. And so what do? They set about disarming or killing the people that had the weapons, particularly Jews. And remember the other thing that happened at that point, Germany suspended their constitution. And there's a Freudian slip for you. Gave Adolf Hitler unprecedented authority to do whatever he wanted to do. There was no constitution anymore. So what did Hitler do? Set about removing political dissidents. The police went around and started revoking the gun licenses, and those who were politically a threat to the state were executed or imprisoned. Now, in 1938, Hitler signed a new gun control act. And what happens was he let certain Germans have guns, but nobody else was allowed. They weren't allowed ammunition. They weren't allowed guns. And so what happens is the German Jews were ordered to surrender their weapons, and the police had all the records of those who had registered them. There you go. There you go. You want to know what Barack Obama's doing? This is it. He is simply implementing the Third Reich in terms of gun control.
Yep, he's going to use Werner Best's directives to keep us all safe.
Yeah, now, you know, if he was confronted with that accusation, of course he'd play it down. That's not what this is all about. I'm not here to destroy the Second Amendment. I'm just here because, you know, it's just happened too much. And I want to just jump back here in a couple minutes we have left here. There is no doubt in my mind that in some way, somehow, to some degree, Barack Obama is responsible for what's going on right now with these lone wolf terrorist attacks. People that have been under the watchful eye of the FBI, but are being ignored or avoided, who are then coming to surfacing and doing these horrendous acts so that Barack Obama can come out here and tell everybody, we need to surrender our gun rights. And if they're allowed to continue, if they're allowed to expand regulation and registration and all these things, the federal government under the Department of Homeland Security has a record of everybody in this country that owns guns. Guess what, guys? If you own a gun, you're going to be one of the first doors they knock on when Hillary Clinton is in office and they decide to go full bore. When they come loaded for bear.
Yeah, how this has helped Hillary Clinton is unbelievable.
Yeah, and we'll get into her tomorrow. I just wanted to lay all this stuff out for you today.
Talk about her.
Yeah, we're out of time, guys. We'll be back on the air tomorrow. Same time out here at 3 o'clock on the West Coast, 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. We love you guys. Thank you for your loyalty. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hayko, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.